Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Ramblings of a 42-Year-Old Man. Chris Smith here with you today, and we are going to ramble real quick about just a book that I've read recently. This is called The Changeling, and it's by Victor LaVelle. It was released in 2017. So this is kind of it's a horror novel, but it's very much very character-driven compared to a lot of the horror novels that I've read, or in this case, listened to on my audiobooks. And so this one involves the characters of Apollo and Emma, married couple who have a baby, and somehow Emma is kind of showing signs, almost postpartum depression, possibly kind of signs. But then things take a very horrific turn with her, and all of a sudden Apollo is kind of left reeling and having to try to figure out what happened, why it happened. It goes in some really surprising places from where it begins to where it ends up. What I like about it, I mean, it's a great story overall, but what I love about the way that Victor LaVelle does this is the first third to half of the book is just character building. I mean, we get to know Apollo's parents and their love story, and then we get to kind of hear how his father abandoned him, and then we hear about him growing up, and then we hear about how he met Emma, and we hear about Emma and him, and then we hear about how they had the baby. And so it's for some people, possibly, especially if you are a fan of the horror genre, you may consider it kind of a slow burn beginning, but I love the character building stuff. It really does get you set where you really, really love these characters. When all the craziness starts to go down, you're that much more invested in them. And as I said, it goes in some crazy places. I'm not going to spoil because it ends up in some interesting areas. But the title alone is almost a little bit of a spoiler for some things. The Changeling, because you're reading the first half of this book and you're like, what does this title have anything to do with this? And then you find out very quickly. And then it goes into just some really interesting areas, branches off in places I would never have thought of during the first half of the book. I did not expect at all where we ended up at. The things that ended up happening at the end of the book were just crazy. But crazy good. Very, very good. I've enjoyed Victor LaVelle's work in the past. I read his book, The Devil in Silver, that it came out, I believe it was in 2012. That one was very good too. It took place in like a mental correctional, almost like you say mental hospital, but kind of like a forced mental hospital kind of deal. And just some of the craziness went there. Another one that just was a lot of character building before the craziness starts. And so that's the takeaway here is, as much as I love, quick, bang, bang, get out of the way horror book, I really do enjoy some character studies. That's why I love Stephen King so much. The majority of his books, yes, they're creepy as hell, but the characters, he really builds those characters up so that when things start happening to those people, you really care. Victor LaVelle is right in there in that wheelhouse. He spends so much time building up these characters that when all this stuff starts to go crazy, you're really, really invested in the stuff that's happening with them. So that's The Changeling. He also just recently had another book drop, this last month, called Lone Women. I listened to it as well. I enjoyed it a lot too. I enjoyed The Changeling a little more, but Lone Women was a very good one as well. Had kind of a American Old West backdrop, and kind of a group really focusing on one woman, but then it opens up to a bunch of other women and kind of the plights that they had in the kind of Old West, with the backdrop of definitely some supernatural elements and horror elements as well. So that one was very good too. I prefer The Changeling, but I did like Lone Women as well. You can't go wrong with really anything that I've read from Victor LaVelle. Has been very, very good. So high recommend on The Changeling, recommend on Lone Women, and Victor LaVelle. Anything you see with that name coming out on it. If you like horror at all, if you like character studies, if you like Stephen King or things like that, you would enjoy the way that he writes. He's also doing of all things, I know that we've talked about how I've gotten back into comics, and he's doing a writer's run on a Sabretooth comic of all things just this last year. So I'm interested as I'm catching up with things to see how that goes as well. But I've really enjoyed reading him, and same with all the books that I've read of his so far. So thank you for listening to me ramble today. I'll be back with you again soon with some more. Thank you.